Hey guys, this is Bold Lunacy, and today I'll be doing my first game review for you guys. The first game review that we will be doing is Fractured Minds. Fractured Minds came out in 2017. It was developed by a 17-year-old British developer named Emily Mitchell. Emily Mitchell took about 9 months to come up with the game and then about another year to get it ready for publishing to the different platforms. From my research, I read that Emily Mitchell actually struggles with anxiety and wanted to develop a game that would help show the mental health community that you're not alone and that there are other people out there that understand or that can empathize with you. As a gamer and someone who lives with multiple mental illnesses, I feel like this is so important. It's very easy when you live with mental illnesses to feel so alone and isolated, and to have a game that you can relate to and that really kind of walks you through the steps of what it's like to live with all of this. I don't know, for me, I was able to connect to it so much, and it really spoke to me, and it actually, I feel like it really helped me see that there were others out there. For this game review, I'm actually going to walk you through and tell you what this game meant to me. I feel that I won't be able to really tell you what's in each chapter without giving out spoilers, so I'm kind of just going to give generic descriptions of what the chapters are about, and again, just tell you what they meant to me. This first chapter to me represents pure anxiety. Just the feeling of not being able to get anything right, constantly doing the wrong thing or making the wrong choices, and it just bringing up so many negative feelings about yourself, towards yourself, and then kind of that final relief when you do get something right. Chapter 2 represents isolation, loneliness, and distractions. I believe I mentioned before how easy it is to feel so alone when you live with mental illnesses. It can just get so dark sometimes, and sometimes you just don't have the energy to reach out to anybody, or sometimes you don't even know how to ask for help, and you just get isolated. And just that feeling and that feeling of just being so alone is so powerful, and it can really kind of take over. And then you have a distraction, and it is so important to me to be able to pick your distractions. For me personally, gaming is one of mine. There are so many gamers out there that use gaming as a way to cope with their mental illnesses, their disabilities, past, present traumas that they may be going through or have gone through. I think distractions are so important, but I also think it's important not to completely lose yourself in those distractions. And I think that's where it becomes difficult is, okay, let me get this distraction, but at the same time, how do you balance that? And how do you balance that and not completely isolate yourself at the same time? But yeah, the chapter to me is about isolation, loneliness, just kind of closing yourself in, or being closed in because of your mental illness, because sometimes that mental illness sometimes they control us, and that is so hard and so just overwhelming to deal with. The third chapter represents your comfort zone, and oh my gosh, it is so hard to leave your comfort zone. When you live with mental illnesses, disabilities, whatever the case may be, you find, your comfort zone, which makes you safe. It makes you feel safe, it makes you feel calm, makes you feel peaceful. And the idea of leaving that space can be so overwhelming that sometimes you can't even make that baby step to step out of it. When you feel like you're wrapped up in this cocoon of safety, and then the idea of stepping out of that, stepping into the unknown, stepping into things that you can't control, it's hard, because in your comfort zone, you take that control and you have that power to kind of decide who comes into this comfort zone, who comes into this safety net. What can I do in this safety net? That's all up to me. But once you step outside of that, it's kind of like, okay, what am I doing here? Why am I here right now? there's so much overstimulation going on. And so that comfort zone is the one place that you never want to leave, because once you step outside, you're not going to like it. And that can keep us from doing so many things with our lives. For me, my comfort zone is my room, my games, everything like that. When I have to leave the house, it's scary, you know? My mind, I have panic disorder is one of my mental illnesses. And in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get in the car, I'm gonna get hit by a car. I'm gonna go to the grocery store, I'm gonna fall and trip and hurt myself. I'm gonna go to the grocery store and somehow there's gonna be, you know, a guy that comes in with a gun and holds all of us hostage. When I tell you, my panic disorder is insane, okay? And I go through all of these different, what's the word I'm thinking of? Scenarios, all these different scenarios. And all these different scenarios fill me with fear, and they keep me from leaving my comfort zone. And I know those things might seem like they're out in left field, but that's what it does. Mental illness doesn't make sense. You know, to other people that may not understand, it can seem like the most bizarre thing in the world, but to us, it's like, no, this is how my brain works. This is how I live every single day. And I thoroughly encourage you, if you have somebody that lives with mental illness, or if, you know, you're new to it, you don't necessarily have anyone that lives with mental illnesses, but, you know, you kind of want to learn more, do research. Research everything. So many people think depression, bipolar, anxiety, all of these things are just this black and white, but it's not true. Every mental illness is on a spectrum. What I go through with my depression, bipolar, panic disorder, and others may not be what, you know, Sally over there goes through. We could be suffering or struggling with the same mental illnesses and they affect us in completely different ways. So I highly encourage you to do some research and kind of learn about it for yourself. Chapter 4 is about paranoia, that constantly looking over your shoulder, wondering what's coming next. Okay, well, you know, what's over here? I've got to keep looking, got to check my back. You know, I've got to figure out the right thing to do so I can get out of here. You know, am I being watched? This, that, and the third. Paranoia is something that's very, very difficult to live with. It's very hard to not feel that paranoia, and when it's constantly there, it just makes everything worse, to be honest. I don't struggle with it every single day, but there are days when it is really, really bad. And paranoia is one of those things that can really take over your mind and really affect how you interact with the world around you. So yeah. Chapter 5 is underwater, and to me it represents kind of drowning and everything crumbling around you. This feeling of, you know, trying to tread water and you're barely able to keep your head above the water. And you're trying to get out of this, you know, deep, dark spot that you're in, but every decision you make just, you know, seems to put you back at the beginning. And this constant fight and struggle to make sure you make the right steps to reach that top of the water. And that is something that speaks so true to me. You know, when we get in a really dark place, you know you want out of that dark place. You know you need to get out of that dark place. You know that you need help, but then you keep making the wrong steps and you feel like you're all the way back at the beginning again. You know, one step forward, 2 steps back. And that can be such a hard place to be in. And in those times, you just have to, you know, be determined not to give up, which is so much easier said than done. I think those are the times when you really need help from other people to kind of be able to get to where you need to go. Chapter 5 is kind of like the final boss level. This is where, you know, you feel like you're constantly being bombarded by outside forces, you know, this entire game, you know, all of these things getting in your way and trying to figure out your way through, and then realizing that everything is in your mind, that, you know, this is what's inside of you, this mental illness. It's not outside forces, it's things that you struggle with in your head. And 2 of my favorite quotes from this game are, one is by Shannon L. Alder. It's living somewhere else in your mind is nothing more than being a prisoner where you are. And then the second one, I don't know who this one is by. I'm sorry, but you can hear it in the silence, almost deafening. Maybe if you hide, it can't hurt you. Maybe. If you are its maker, why can't you destroy it? It wants you to forget. Forget that living with a monster makes you brave. Forget that carrying its weight makes you strong. Forget that it makes you who you are. You are its power, its life. Without you, it is nothing. I think it's so important to recognize how strong people that live with mental illnesses, disabilities, whatever it may be, have to be to live with that. People, don't understand that you are literally battling yourself constantly. And, you wake up, the battle begins. The battle doesn't stop till you go to sleep. And sometimes you can't even sleep. And it takes immense strength to be able to go through that. And I think that one of the worst things right now is that mental health is such a taboo subject in our society. It's still not talked about enough. There's not enough healthcare out there or help, resources out there for people that live with mental illnesses and disabilities, and it's ridiculous. Your brain is as much a part of your body as your arm is. If you go and you break your arm, people don't tell you to go exercise more or eat more vegetables. They tell you, hey, go to a doctor, your arm is broken. It's the same thing with your mind. My mind is broken and I need help from a doctor. Now, some people, they can manage their mental illness without medications, and that is okay. That is awesome that they're able to do that, and that's great. But that doesn't give anybody the right to talk down to people that have to use medications to manage their symptoms. I have to use medications. Without medications, I can't function, and that's okay. If somebody has blood clotting issues, well, then they get put on blood thinners. Nobody is going to walk up to them and tell them, if you just ate more vegetables or more exercise, you'd be perfectly fine. You don't need to be put on blood thinners, despite that if you're not on them, your heart could stop. Don't listen to those doctors. They're just full of shit. That would be fucking stupid. Like, absolutely stupid. So when somebody's mind is broken, we need to stop, listing all of these things that they should do, eat more vegetables, do more exercise. Oh, my favorite, you just need to wake up and make the decision to be happy today. Yes, because, I've obviously not wished to be happy for the last few years of my life. Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. Let me go do that right now. We need to accept mental health and work hard to research what we don't understand and stop just forming opinions before we even, experience someone with, you already formulate these ideas. So when your loved one comes and tells you they're depressed, you just kind of shrug it off like, depression is just being sad, and, you can decide not to be sad. It's so much more than that. And that's why research is so important. And that's why I think this game is so important. Because in its own little way, what it does is when it shows you like the anxiety or the paranoia, it kind of shows multiple ways that those mental illnesses manifest. And I think that is just so awesome. I'm going to stop rambling now. I highly recommend this game. Definitely for me, if I could, force everybody to play it, I would, but I can't do that. But I highly recommend this game. I think everybody should go out and get this game, play it. Again, it only takes about 20 minutes to complete. It's a very short, sweet, simple game, and I think everybody would definitely benefit from playing it. Thanks for tuning in for my first game review, and I'll catch you guys later.